happy National Joe's Day to all those who celebrate. But this is not your average Joe's Scobo Sports live show. I'm Xavier Menevitz alongside Leo Rivera. Leo, how are we doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal, Xavier. Changes in the air. It's spring, and there are some notable things happening in Colorado sports.
100%. Well, let's jump right in. We start tonight with breaking news. Hours ago, On3 reported that Colorado men's basketball star Isaiah Johnson plans to enter the transfer portal. The guard set CU freshman scoring records as a dynamite bucket getter all season long. He averaged nearly 17 points a game and was all Big 12 honorable mention. Johnson departs as the first possible portal exodus for Tad Boyle's Buffs.
The Buffaloes fell in the first round of the March Madness tournament in Nashville last weekend. Here's Jake Chow and Harrison Simeon with the breakdown.
Mad Dash to March ended in sadness here at Memorial Gymnasium as the Colorado Buffaloes fell to the Illinois Fighting Illini in the first round of the NCAA tournament, 66-59. Jake, what are your initial takeaways?
Well, Colorado was right there for majority of the game, but Illinois was just kind of outmatched the Buffs all game, kept a cushy lead, pulled away at the end. Buffaloes just didn't quite do enough. But it didn't really feel like the game mattered so much after the press conference.
Yeah, it was a little bit emotional. I mean, J.R. Payne talked about the connection of this team, the camaraderie. It was something that was extremely rare. I mean, especially bringing in 10 new players for this season. The connection really built over time, and by the end, it felt familial. It felt like a family, like those March Madness teams of Colorado's past. But we even told Aid and El Dutat they could practice tomorrow. I mean, pretty sad, huh?
Absolutely, and I think every single player we talked to today said that it was that family, that this unit was, and it's hard to leave it all out on the court for the seniors, Ana El Dutat and Jade Masagayo, who this is their last collegiate game. They left it out there, they played their best, and it just came up quite short, didn't quite come up to that matter and to that win. But, I mean, again, it's that family that every player mentioned.
But Coach Payne talked about how this team kind of wants to stay together. This team is going to have a future. The past 2 years have been tough through the portal. We'll see how this one shakes out. They have a core, though. They can continue to build. Desiree Wooten with Sienna Walker and that backcourt, and fill in the front court. Logan Greer had a rough night tonight, but still looked impressive as a freshman this season. But yeah, from the Memorial Gymnasium in Nashville, Tennessee, this is Jake Chow. I'm Harrison Simeon for Scobo Sports.
It was a roller coaster season for Colorado before a late season surge pushed them into the national spotlight. They won 9 of its last 11 games, including losing 2 straight to end the season in the conference tourney. The Buffs climbed to the semifinals and captured a March Madness berth before losing to the Illini. Colorado's for sure losing 2 players in seniors Jade Masagayo and Ana El Dutat, but nobody has entered the portal yet. Kale Johnke is the Buffs' only recruit, a 4-star out of Minneapolis with over 1,000 points in her career. The Buffs finished with the season off a record 22 wins and 12 losses.
While they couldn't get it done on the hardwood, women's hoops hit the books. Guards Diana Walker and Maeve McErlane received honors for their academic efforts this year. The 2025-2026 College Sports Communicators Academic All-District Team named the junior guards to the Academic All-District team. The honor recognizes student athletes who have a 3.5 cumulative GPA while starting in at least 2/3 of games.
The Buffs men's basketball season isn't over quite yet, although it feels like it. Despite an early exit in the Big 12 tournament and missing out on March Madness and losing Isaiah Johnson, Colorado has at least one more game on tap. The men's squad is heading to Las Vegas next week for the College Basketball Crown Tournament, where 8 teams from 5 different conferences will participate in a 3-round sequence, competing for the share of $500,000. Wow, could have used that money. The first round matchups will take place on April 1st and 2nd, streaming on FS1. Then, on April 4th and 5th, the semifinals and championship games will air live on Fox.
In Vegas, the Buffs will face the Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners are led by senior Nigel Pack, 16.5 points per game. The Buffs and Sooners are similar teams, both scoring over 80 points per game on 47% shooting. Oklahoma nearly had a run to the Big Dance, but came up just short as the first team out and a 19-15 record. The Buffs finished their season with a 17-15 record. The winner will play either Minnesota or Baylor in the semifinals next Saturday.
It's time for this week's trivia question. To celebrate opening weekend in the majors and club baseball team hosting Nebraska Cornhuskers, we're asking you, what year was the last time Colorado had a Division I baseball team? Well, stay tuned for the answer later in the show.
Welcome on into this week's edition of Buff Banner alongside Mason Davis. I'm Shane Holcomb. Colorado football was recently picked to finish last in this upcoming Big 12 season. Mason, off the 3-9 campaign last fall, do you think that's a bit of a harsh kind of a settlement for Colorado?
Yeah, I think, Shane, there's two different ways you could look at it. I think on one hand, this is our Colorado team, like you kind of mentioned, did lose 5 of their last 5 games last year. And in addition to that, did lose arguably their top player, for sure on offense, Jordan Seaton, departing to LSU. So I do think in one way is definitely something you could argue, but also on the other side, we have seen Deion Sanders' teams at Colorado rebound. We saw his first season at 2023 was not very good, and we saw adjustments between coordinators, new personnel, a nice rebound in 2024. We're wondering if they can kind of do that and outproject that 3-9 last place, what people are kind of expecting from them.
Yeah, 1-8 in conference last year. I mean, obviously they got a big win over Iowa State in the middle of October, but like you said, 5 straight losses to end the season. And you mentioned it, Jordan Seaton, Tawfiq Bayard, Omarion Miller, all these key pieces from what was not a very talented team last season, but those were some of your best players. And you bring in some guys in the transfer portal, Danny Scudero on the offensive end, Boo Carter on the defensive end. But I think this might be a little bit due to Colorado's schedule, Mason, that people aren't going to pick them to be that good because it is a hard start. You got to go to Baylor in conference play. You host Texas Tech. You host Utah. And then you go to Oklahoma State, who will be a little bit better. So focusing on that Big 12 conference story, I know Georgia Tech is the season opener, but looking at the Big 12 opener against Baylor and then going forward, in those 4 games, Baylor, Utah, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State, what's the ceiling? What's like kind of the best case scenario or the worst case scenario in a tough stretch to conference play to start the year?
Yeah, like you did mention, I think that the beginning of the season for the Buffaloes is going to be almost make or break. Bringing in these new faces, offense coordinator, defensive coordinator, I want to see how Coach Prime has these guys ready. Like you said, first 5 games, going to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech, and then up to Evanston to take on Northwestern. I think both those are big games. If we could see Colorado win both of those, that'd be pretty insane, and we could see a very high ceiling for this team. But also on the other side of things, if they kind of blow those games, maybe go 0-2, maybe get that win versus Weber State, and then roll into a very tough Big 12 schedule, like you said, heading towards Waco, and then bringing Texas Tech to Folsom, we could even see maybe 1-4, 1-5 to open the season. Wouldn't be too pretty here in Boulder.
I think that's just an indictment of how good this Big 12 conference is now. I mean, I know Texas Tech and BYU were kind of head and shoulders above everyone last season, but again, Oklahoma State will be better. I know Utah lost their head coach. They'll be good. Baylor will be better with the addition of DJ Lagway, one of Colorado's first opponents in Big 12 play. But Mason, do you think that the Georgia Tech game can again be kind of a make or break of a springboard on what the mood of this season is going to look like? Because again, this is a team that went 3-9 last season in Colorado, but they competed with a really good Georgia Tech team for pretty much the whole entire game into the end. You lose that game, and it kind of the season goes downhill from there. But if you come out with a win, it could look a little bit differently. So do you think that could be a trend setter for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I do. I think last time we saw it here in Boulder, I was at that game in the very first row, actually. So it was a crazy atmosphere. The energy within this football program, I think, is very real. This time we go to Atlanta, like I said. If you can sneak away with a win in there, that'd be awesome, kind of splitting that 1-1 series we did have set up with them. I think that'd be really good. But also, on the other hand, I do think that you don't want to overreact anytime, any sports program, especially at the collegiate level with these kids. You don't want to overreact. 1 bad loss, maybe even 2 bad losses, Georgia Tech and then Northwestern. Obviously, you want to see those go our way, but I want to see how this new coaching staff, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, and of course Coach Prime going into his 4th season now, how they react if it is a bit of a slow start, and if they can kind of be resilient and piece together some wins after a not great start.
Well, guys, the last time Colorado started the season on the road against a Power 5 opponent, they went to TCU and won in the first game of the Deion Sanders era. Now going into his 4th season, we'll see what is in store for this Colorado football team and their tough Big 12 schedule to start the season. That's going to do it, though, for this week's edition of Buff Banner. For Mason Davis and Shane Holcomb, sending you guys back to the desk.
The men's basketball team is tapping into talent down under. The Buffs added Gotch Malwall and Alex Dickinson from Australia this week. Malwall is averaging over 4 points and 5 rebounds per game in the 2025 FIBA World Cup. His 6'9", 18-year-old will add some size to the Buffs front court. Dickinson averages 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game in the FIBA U19 Basketball World Cup last year. The Buffs look to revamp their roster after the departure of Isaiah Johnson, announced earlier today.
The women's lacrosse team started off their 2-game streak over spring break with a win against the Stetson Hatters. The Buffaloes returned home after a long road streak and beat the Hatters 18-3. The Buffs had 13 different goal scorers that game and had a hat trick from Molly Reed. With this dominant home return for the Buffs, they remain undefeated at home and hope to carry on the momentum for the rest of this streak.
Goals came in droves last week when the Buffs played the Yukon Huskies. Senior Lily Assini scored a career-high 4 goals, and freshman Rowan Edison had her first career hat trick and was recognized as Big 12 Freshman of the Week. Sophomore goalkeeper Elena O made 9 saves on 14 shots in the Buffs' 11-5 win. The Buffs' win was the Buffalo's last non-conference game. Let's go to Peyton Lemp previewing their conference schedule.
Heading into just the second conference play of Big 12 women's lacrosse history, every team is hungry for the title. Big 12 Women's Lacrosse League, started in 2025, is unique because it was rapidly formed to provide a home for programs left homeless by the Pac-12 collapse. The diverse mix of core members, Colorado, Arizona State, and Cincinnati, and affiliate members, Florida, UC Davis, and San Diego, have created a Sea to Shining Sea conference. After a strong start, number 9 ranked Colorado has the Big 12 title within reach. The Buffs closed non-conference play with a 6-2 record, their only 2 losses coming on a road trip to the East Coast. Both were close games lost to daunting ranked teams at number 18 Stony Brook and number 8 Michigan. Colorado's offense has stacked up well against high-ranked teams during non-conference play. Leading the charge has been an experienced duo in junior attacker Tegan Ryan and senior attacker Maddie Shoup, who have 18 and 16 goals on the season respectively. What sets Colorado apart from other Big 12 teams is their dominating defense. The Buffs have allowed fewer than 10 goals in every game to date. They are powered by sophomore goalkeeper Elena O, senior defender and team captain Jess Peluso. O has picked up 5 Big 12 Goalkeeper of the Week awards, is 6th in the NCAA for save percentage, and 2nd in goals against average. Peluso, the 2025 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, has led the Buffaloes with 16 ground balls, 12 caused turnovers, and 23 draw controls in non-conference play. The 2 teams that will contest Colorado for all the glory are Florida and Cincinnati. Both opponents are offensive powerhouses with young talent. Florida is 7-2 in non-conference play and are ranked number 1 in the NCAA for clear percentage, number 18 in points per game, and number 3 for scoring offense. The Gators are a well-rounded team, having 3 players earn Big 12 honors last week. Senior defender Teresa Bragg was named Defensive Player of the Week, sophomore attacker Claire Hamilton earned Attacker of the Week, and freshman midfielder Carolyn Hoskins earned Freshman of the Week. Sitting at 8-4 in non-conference, Cincinnati has the most wins in the Big 12 currently. The Bears hit their stride mid-season, gathering 5 wins in 6 games. In their most recent game, they scored a season high of 22 goals in a commanding win against Youngstown State, 22-3. Sophomore attacker Paige Selhorn leads the Bears offense with 39 goals, 36 assists, and 75 points in non-conference play. Colorado's defense will have to hold down Florida's and Cincinnati's offense if it wants to punch its ticket to the Big 12 tournament. The Big 12 tournament will be hosted by Florida and played April 30th through May 2nd, following a round-robin league play period that ends on April 25th. The top 4 teams in the regular season standing will qualify for the tournament and play in a single elimination tournament. With the dominance and passion that the Buffaloes have been playing with, it is highly likely they will bring the trophy back to Boulder.
Women's lacrosse will kick off conference play on Saturday against San Diego State at Prentup Field. The Buffs are currently undefeated at home and look to keep that streak up against the Aztecs, who are only 2-7 on the season.
Before spring break, the Buffalo ski team competed in the NCAA championships in Utah. The Buffs came out of the championships with respectable second place, falling just short of the title for the 2nd year in a row. Some highlights from the weekend include 2 second-place finishes in the giant slalom event, with 7 skiers earning All-American honors.
The men's golfers tied for 3rd at the Arizona Thunderbirds Intercollegiate last Tuesday. The squad finished 21 strokes under par, just 4 strokes behind the hometown winners, the Arizona Wildcats. Upperclassmen Tyler Holbrook and Hunter Swanson dominated at the tournament and finished 7 under and 6 under respectively. The Buffs are back in action this weekend, competing in the Wally Goodwin Invitational in Palo Alto, California. The Buffs entered today in 8th place after shooting 2 strokes under par in the first round on Thursday. The second round is finishing up right now, and the third round will be played on Saturday.
Welcome to Folsom Feud. I'm your host, Colby, here with 3 contestants today. Lincoln, Balin, and Kieran. Lincoln, start us off.
I'll take game day etiquette for 200.
All right. This is the best way to show respect during the CU fight song.
What is standing, singing loud, and raising your hand in the hook 'em horn sign?
Not what we're looking for. Balin, you have an answer?
What is stand up, sing loud, and do the Ralphie horns?
Correct. Balin, the board is yours.
Give me tailgate traditions for 400.
All right, here's the answer. The must-have item to wear on game day to show your Buff pride. Kieran?
What is black and gold?
That's correct. Nothing says school spirit like those two colors. Choose the next one.
Let's do fan etiquette for 600.
Fan etiquette. The proper response when you hear someone yell, "Go Buffs."
What is Skull Buffs?
Skull Buffs is right. Looks like we've got some true Buffs fans here. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our contestants, and see you next time.
The tennis team is on a cold streak. They're 0-4 since March 13th, losing to UCF, Houston, BYU, and Utah. Quite a fall from grace after their 6-game win streak in February. However, the team is still ranked 61st in the nation, and they have the opportunity to get back on track against Texas Tech tomorrow. Texas Tech is ranked 13th in the nation and already have 3 ranked wins on the season. A win here would give the Buffs a lot of momentum heading into the home stretch of the season.
On March 13th, select Buffs on the track and field and competed at the NCAA Indoor Championships. The men's distance medley relay team did better than expected, placing 8th. Avery Pearson had the 6th fastest time in the 800-meter race, but due to the championship format, she was left out of the 8-person final. Isaiah Givens also missed the final race in the men's mile, placing 11th. Last weekend at the CU Pueblo, Elena Fantaschi had the 4th farthest javelin throw in CU history, and Lucas Williams had the 9th best hammer mark in CU history. Starting today, the team's competing at CSU at the Jack Christensen Invitational.
Buffs baseball swept the Metro State Roadrunners last weekend, highlighted by a 22-13 win last Sunday. In that game, junior outfielder Chase Ambuel hit an inside-the-park grand slam, one of the Buffs' best highlights of the year so far. This weekend, they showed down with the Nebraska Hornets for the first time ever at Scott Carpenter Park. The Buffs enter with a 9-3 record in the Huskers at 5-1. It will be streamed live on Sco Buff Sports with first pitch tonight at 7.
Club men's lacrosse returns for its first game since break this weekend. Over the course of 4 games over the break, the Buffs went 2-2 with wins against number 16 Chapman and number 15 Cal Poly, and losses against Florida and number 13 San Diego State. Coming off a top 20 win against Cal Poly, CU will face unranked Boise State Broncos, and their last game against the Broncos, the Buffs came out on top, 14-13 at Boise State. This weekend's game is at Kittredge Field at 6 p.m. on Saturday and will be streamed live here on Sco Buff Sports.
The Buffs volleyball team is back for some spring ball this weekend as they head to Greeley, Colorado for 2 matchups between Northern Colorado and Wyoming. Both matchups will give a closer look on how the team will look this season with the departures of Sarah Morton and Ryan Finley. First game will be at 11 a.m. followed by 12:30 p.m. Catch updates on the game on CU Buffs Volleyball social media.
Here we see Xavier McNevitz working on his reader for the live show. If we didn't have these readers done by Thursday night, chances are we would not be airing this show right now. Be like Xavier. Get your readers done. And don't forget to click save so that you don't lose any of your hard-earned work.
What's up, Buffs fans? My name is Max Friedel, and I'm here to give you this week's Rapid Fire. Starting us off, we have Colorado basketball taking on Oklahoma in Vegas on April 1st in the 2nd inaugural college basketball crown. Although it's not March Madness, it is postseason basketball. The Sooners finished 19-15, good enough for 10th place in the SEC. That game will be broadcasted on Fox Sports 1. Moving on, we have Colorado volleyball starting up again after they released their spring schedule last month. The Buffs will be taking on back-to-back scrimmages on Saturday, starting with the University of Northern Colorado at 11 a.m., followed by Wyoming at 12:30. Beyond volleyball, Colorado men's golf is playing a 3-round tournament. In Stanford, the Buffs sit at 8th place after the first day and are set to tee off again today and tomorrow for the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Finally, Colorado women's lacrosse is set to host the 2-7 San Diego State Aztecs at noon on Saturday. This will be the Buffs' Big 12 home opener after starting the season 6-2. And again, it's another busy weekend, so make sure you guys get out there and support your Buffs. Back to you guys at the desk.
It's now time for the answer to this week's trivia question. As a reminder, we asked you, when was the last time Colorado had a Division I baseball team? And the answer is, drumroll please, 1980. It's been over 45 years since Buffs baseball hit the D1 stage in that summer of 1980. Colorado cut other programs like wrestling, gymnastics, and swimming. While there's no Division I baseball, there is still club baseball, and the team plays nearly every weekend at Scott Carpenter Field and live here on Sco Buff Sports.
Our tweet of the week or tweet of the break, in this case, highlights former CU hooper Tristan Da Silva. The current Orlando Magician had a shot blocked by Alex Caruso. At least Caruso's sneaker caught it. You heard that right. The Thunder guard acted from head to toe to reject Da Silva. TD has still scored 13 points in the contest and is averaging 19 over the last 3 games, not having any cold feet since the interaction.
Well, it's been a toothy episode here at Scope Up Sports, but I'm Leopoldo Rivera alongside Xavier McNevitz, and as always, you heard it here first.